This is a 2025 Ram 1500 Laramie, and in this video I'm going to show you guys how you can buy this truck potentially under $40,000. I borrowed it from Larry H. Miller, Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram here in Sandy, Utah. Let's go ahead and check out the window sticker so you guys can see the MSRP on this truck. At the very top is a description, and then here is the base price at $63,880. And here's a short listing of the standard equipment. Be sure to pause it. Starting off the options is the Laramie Level 1 Equipment Group for $395. You also have the rubber floor mats, $392 rear end. Trailer brake was $295 with destination at $1995 with a total price of $66,975. And here are the Philly comment numbers off to the side. Now you might be wondering, how can you get this truck for under $40,000? Stick around and I will explain how in a little bit. Now on the front end, they still are using LED headlights for the Laramie, although I will say they did go to incandescent turn signals. Last model year it was full LED headlights. You still have the reflective style LED fog lights, front parking sensors. This one does have adaptive cruise control standard. And in case you want to see the suspension here, double wishbone, independent, plastic material for the liner, and then here are your tires. These are Nexen Rhodian HTX tires, 275/55 20-inch wheel, 6 lug. And in case you care to see the capacity, it's right here. It's going to be 2,535 pounds, 51 psi. They did add those fender flares back for this model year. They took them away for some reason last year. Chrome on the mirrors, but not too much on the side. Of course on their bumpers, but that's pretty much it. And on their badging, of course. Right here. There are turn signals on there. Love that they give you the convex and blind spot heated mirrors, painted door handles with smart key on the front only, no chrome around the windows. Now this one didn't have that 33-gallon fuel tank, so I believe it's a 26-gallon if you don't get that option as an FYI. I would almost always add that because you always want to have that extended range when possible. This does have the standard, or really on the half-ton segment, it's really short bed, and then the standard bed is actually the longer bed. Love the fact they give you a liner standard on this trim level. Ford F-150 doesn't normally give that to you. Now, disc brakes out back, and you're going to have a multi-link coil suspension, which is going to help with the ride. Out back, incandescent tail lights. I love the dual exhaust. They give you a 4 and 7 pin class 4 hitch, backup camera, and they do provide a light down there if you're hooking it up at night. Assisted tailgate. No power option standard on this truck, by the way. They still, however, give you the bed lights, incandescent lights up there, power sliding rear glass. Tailgate is actually light on this truck as well. Now here's a nice side view of this truck. Under the hood of a Laramie, this is the only engine option available. This is the standard output inline 6 3-liter Hurricane engine. Twin turbos, 420 horsepower and 468 pound-feet of torque. And you can see both turbos on this side. This does have a water-to-air cool intercooler, 10.4:1 compression, and on this one they do use 0W20 oil compared to the 0W40 on the high output. This truck does still use the ZF 8-speed transmission behind it, and as you guys saw, 392 rear end. I believe a 355 comes standard with the truck. Let's go ahead and quickly check out the interior, and I'm going to show you guys how you can buy this truck for pretty much under $40,000. Inside the interior, Ram has continued to lead when it comes down to just overall fit and finish. They have some of the most comfortable seats in the half-ton segment. I would say Toyota Tundra and Ram 1500 are top at the list, and I would say that Ford can kind of be right in between the two maybe. Now on this side you do have a 10-way seat, like that light gray piping around the seats with that suede perforated leather, heated and ventilated, more of that suede material on the sides here. Tilt headrest comes standard. Tilt and telescoping steering wheel, although it is manually operated. Some of the competitors have power, just saying. And then you have auto headlights, power pedals down below, power folding, outside mirrors, and seat memories are right there. Overall, great design. Here is the back. I like how wide the doors open too on this truck. Now on the second row of these trucks, you do have a way to recline these seats, 60/40 bench, and I love the armrest they give you with a little bit of storage right there. And this is probably the biggest cab in this segment too. They do provide the seat back pockets there. You guys can see down there 115 volt power plug, 4 USBs, outboard heated seats. Even with the bench configuration, they still give you the outboard heated seats out back. This one also has that 12-inch display, push button start. So this truck is pretty loaded, right? So that's why these trucks are so expensive. The amount of features you're getting on these trucks are just pretty insane. Actually right here you can see you have your heated seats, heated steering wheels right there, ventilated seats. You can do full screen navigation. On this side, a little bit of storage, and then down below there you have your glove box, another 115 volt power plug, max 400 watts, more storage down here. There's a button you have to push, and you still have your center console here. It has storage right there. Let's go ahead and talk about this pricing. How can you buy this truck for around $30,000 brand new? Now, here's what I'm going to tell you. This may not work for a lot of people. If you don't have the greatest credit, this won't work. Sometimes, for some people, for this option to work, you have to have decent credit. I would say at least 680 and higher. Something else to consider, if you drive a lot of miles, this won't work for you either. I'm talking maybe over 20,000. Now you might be wondering, is this a lease? Yes, I am talking about leasing, but before you turn this video off, hear me out. There's a few things you have to consider today. There's so much more inventory in the marketplace than there was just 3 years ago. Remember the big boom that happened from 2020 on? There was no inventory, and because of that, manufacturers have raised prices a ton. On top of that, cars are not as reliable as they've been just 10 years ago, right? Especially with the new Ram trucks, they have a new powertrain. How reliable is this powertrain going to be? So when it comes down to leasing, close-in leasing is the way to go, and that is what this is here. Now I have two scenarios. I have a purchase for obviously financing it, or lease. Ryan actually did put together this at the Larry H. Miller Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, Ram, and Sandy, Utah. So special shout out to those guys. If you are in the market, be sure to reach out to them. They can work out a lease deal for you. These are just examples for me. I'm not even saying you can go in and get these deals. I don't know your credit, so you have to do your own research. So this is not for you to go and buy. So you have to go and find out for yourself, get approved, and then from there you can decide what you want to do. Now, before I show you the lease, let's go ahead and jump over to a finance deal. If you decide you want to finance this, most people today are doing 6 years, right? 6-year financing, 7-year financing, 8-year financing. My goodness, you should stop at 5 years in my opinion. But hey, the rate doesn't change much. I don't see why it's a bad idea to go to a 72-month term, right? So with that being said, in this scenario here, 72 months with no money down, 6.49% interest. They did do a discount on this truck, so you will see I put $6,500. That's the rebates, and then the rest of that is the dealer discount there. So what I'll tell you is this: if you take the payment at 72 months, no money down, that's $1,043 a month for the payment. If you multiply that by 72 months, that's basically $75,096. Now obviously when you do a retail deal like this and purchase the car or truck, you do have to pay taxes up front. So you have to pay up front $4,164 if you don't have a trade in. Here in Utah, if you have a trade, then it's the sale price minus your trade. Now when you look at a lease, let's go ahead and jump back over to the lease. Leasing is half of that term in this scenario here. Now I did see that the 39-month lease deal is the better way to go. Now I'll explain that here in a second, but that's the one thing I like about leasing. It's not long-term financing, because the number one thing I like about this is it's typically 3 years or even up to 39 months. I don't know much people that go over 39. I think anything over that, I don't know, I think you should probably consider maybe a retail deal at that point. I think maybe 42 months is the longest, but I've seen people go 48 months. Yeah, I get it if you're trying to get to a payment, but sometimes the residual values do drop substantially, so then it hurts the monthly payment. So it's only like $30-$40 difference in payment. So that being said, when you consider the 39-month term here, 0 down, you guys can see the residual value, right? The residual value is $38,176. So you know what this truck will be worth at the end of the lease. That's what I like about this option. Now you might be wondering, what if I get to an accident and the truck doesn't get totaled out and they fix it and it's on the Carfax? Doesn't matter with the lease. That does not affect the value because it's already been predetermined on the truck. So that's why I think this is the way to go. You have a lower term, and the good news is this is a low mileage lease. He did it at 10,000 miles, so you have up to 20,000. Most lenders for leasing will do up to 20K, and obviously if you don't know how many miles you plan on driving, you probably want to consider that, because a lease is basically, and this is the best way to explain it, you're buying what you plan on using. So you're looking at this scenario here. I'm looking at a lease for myself, for example. I'm deciding, hey, I'm going to drive this truck for 36 months and I'm going to put 30,000 miles on it. So I'm buying that term for myself because I know at the end of the lease that's probably about where it's going to end off at. Now obviously if you do go over the mileage, then there is like, I think I don't know what the number is for Chrysler, but it could be 25 or up to 50 cents a mile that you go over in this scenario here. I'm not really sure because I didn't get that information, but you can always reach out to your dealership. But yes, this is the way to go. With the amount of issues that you're seeing even GM have with their trucks with the engines, it just seems to be the best way to go right now. If you're not someone who likes to keep your cars a long time and you're probably planning on getting the latest and greatest anyways, this might be the way to go for people today. Having about essentially the same monthly payment, you obviously have to do your own research. Now, I didn't mention it yet, but you guys can see rebates are less on leases because they have to, I call it subvent this basically. So like basically some of the rebates that you get on the retail side, they go towards making the money factor, which is the interest rate for a lease, a little bit lower. So that's kind of where the rebates do change a little bit. But you also see that you don't have taxes built in as an upfront charge because the taxes are actually on the payment. So I'm not sure what that number is. Maybe in the future, if I have a chance, maybe I'll start getting more itemized copies of this. That way you can really see it. But you're not going to be paying the $4,164 basically in taxes on this. So when you take I like the 39-month lease. Let's just do the math real quickly. 801 times 39 months is $31,239. So basically for 3 years and 3 months, you will pay $31,000. And at that point, you can decide whether to walk away or buy the truck. You already know what it costs. What does the truck cost? The truck costs $38,000 $176. You already know what it costs. So let's just pretend it's 2008. What happened in 2000? Oh yeah, that's right. We had a huge change in the market. Nobody wanted big trucks anymore. Nobody wanted big SUVs. Gas guzzlers were out. Priuses were in. And so if you had decided to lease a truck back in 2006 and your lease came up in 2009, you made out like a bandit because nobody wanted your truck. So you were able to walk away from that, pay the disposition fee, and bid your dues. In 2018, 2019, if you decided to lease a truck, you made out like a bandit because there was no inventory. So you would have walked into the dealership that says, hey, what can I buy my truck for? You already know the number because it's already on your paper. You already know what it is. When you get your paperwork for a lease, it's on there already. They show you what the residual value is and what you can buy the truck for in a lease. So obviously there are some other things that you have to factor into, but the one thing you have to consider when you were looking to end your lease once it was up, you could actually trade the truck in because it was worth more. And that way you could probably got a number for trade-in value for $42,000. So now you have some cash in your pocket versus you either buying, so you would have to buy the truck outright basically and then turn around and sell the truck. That way you can get that difference there. So with that being said, if you decide to keep the truck after the lease, you can refinance it or pay cash for it, and it would be considered a used car, but the best used car to buy is the one that you had. So I think that the leasing makes a lot of sense. For some people it may not, but I think that in this scenario for today's climate, it's the best time to just protect yourself. Cars are not as reliable, values are pretty much out of whack, nothing makes sense for pricing, and at some point all this has to come down. So why not protect yourself and get a nice new car, and in 3 years if you decide you want to buy it, you have the option, you know what it's going to be worth, or you can walk away from it. Let's go and check out the Payload. Here are the numbers on the door. Gross axle weight rating is 3,900 pounds. The rear is 4,100 pounds. 7,100 pound gross vehicle weight rating. And those wheels are 20 by 9 wide. All in payload is 1,681 pounds and then 36 PSI for the tires all the way around. Hope you guys liked the video. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. Let me know your guys' thoughts. And yeah, if there's something that I missed or did not mention, be sure to say it in the comment section. See you guys soon.